Hey, thanks for checking out my channel, and welcome back. If you're a subscriber and you've decided that this is what you want to hear me talk about, I love you. I'm John Stark from movieguy.com, and this is my review of the Munsters. Yeah, the much maligned film. We're going to talk about it. I'm a blind film critic, and I think that's helping Rob Zombie a lot. From everything that I've heard, I did not watch the trailer that was passed around the internet. I don't really know what this film looks like. Also, I've never actually seen a Rob Zombie movie, so I've actually tried to avoid them because every time he made something while I did have vision, it was never anything I wanted to see. So I've never had the pleasure of enjoying a Rob Zombie film. So this is this is actually my first time watching Rob Zombie, and I approached it totally neutral. I know that seems crazy because everyone on the internet has like a really strong opinion about this film, and I really approached it like, okay, well, let's see what this is. And I think people just had different ideas of what it would be. I think knowing Rob Zombie and knowing the kind of movies that he makes, that everybody expected it to be darker and like horror, and I think they expected like the Munsters to be like ripping people's faces off or something. I don't know, because that's the kind of shit that usually happens in Rob Zombie films is violence, like lots and lots of gore and violence. That's what he's known for. Even his Halloween remakes were violent. I mean, they're the most mainstream thing you could possibly see him do, but yeah, this is just not that. A couple of years ago, Eli Roth just decided he wanted to make a kids film, and he made The House with the Clock in Its Walls, and it was all right. I mean, it wasn't great, but he brought some style to it. I didn't need the statues pooping. Like, I remember that. I was like, statues don't poop, Eli. Did you put that in there for the 5-year-olds in the audience? It's very odd. This is just, Robert Rodriguez, what did he start out with? He started out with like Desperado and El Mariachi, From Dusk Till Dawn, and then segued into Spy Kids. This is just Rob Zombie making something that kids could actually watch. Like, for the most part, I mean, I don't know. I can't see the visuals. I don't know what the rating is on this, but based on the tone of the film, it's very goofy. It reminded me a lot of some past times where we've tried to adapt TV shows and it just didn't really work. They're lightning in a bottle. They are what they are for their time, and when you try to adapt them and either make a cartoon live action from the day, like the Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle with Rene Russo and Robert De Niro, that didn't really work. That movie's awful. Dudley Do Right with Brendan Fraser, that didn't work either. Bewitched with Will Ferrell and Nicole Kidman didn't work. There's a lot of films that didn't work. I did kind of personally like Sergeant Bilko with Steve Martin. I know it wasn't, I know for some it wasn't the Phil Silvers show, but I thought Steve Martin did bring a certain something to that film, although I think that film has definitely been lost with time. I don't think anybody is standing up from Tom Arnold's McHale's Maybe. So, yeah, it's true. We did get an amazing Addams Family movie starring Raul Julia and Angelica Houston, and a really terrific sequel. Addams Family Values is great, and Christina Ricci made that film great. So I think maybe people were like, oh, well, because we could get an Addams Family movie, that must mean all TV shows will work. Not, I guess, in theory, possibly. You can always take a shot. You can always roll with it and see what happens. And I think that's what Rob Zombie did here. I think he loved the Munsters enough growing up that he thought he could make a film version of the Munsters. It feels very campy. It feels like he's trying to make something that feels of the same period in which the Munsters TV show came out. Like, he's not trying to update it. He didn't try to reinvent the wheel. He really just tried to recapture it. It would be the same as if suddenly you found out that, let's go back in time, right? Before Robert Pattinson, before we all saw the Batman. Let's find out the Batman all of a sudden just was a campy version of Adam West's thing, and that's what Matt Reeves was trying to do. If he did it well, I like what we got, but could have been that. It could have been him trying to do the wham bam pow. So I don't know. I don't want to just jump on this film and be like, and drag Rob Zombie through the mud for this, because I don't think he totally failed. I think he tried to do something, and it's just that nobody liked what he tried to do. It's not that the film is bad at doing what it tried to do. It's not trying to win an Oscar. He's not trying to do anything. He tried to make a family-friendly film that resembles the TV show from back in the day. It's not very good. I can't tell you that. I can't say this was a good movie that I enjoyed, because that's not true. But I also didn't hate it. Surprisingly, it's not nearly as bad as some people have made it out to be. Unless this thing visually is just like a student film, from a blind person's perspective, it just kind of felt like somebody was trying to make like a lost episode to the Munsters. That was really far too long than it ever needed to be. Probably my biggest problem with this is the runtime. If Mr. Zombie ever watches my video, dude, this did not need to be almost 2 hours. You're taking a show that worked in a 30-minute concept, and you're trying to recreate that campy format, the sitcomish, the jokes and everything are very, they feel like they're all set for this thing. So those worked in short spurts back in the day. This film should have tried to be as short as possible. Plus, kids' attention spans. You're making something that's pretty family friendly. It has some jokes in there for adults, but I'd be shocked if this was rated R. I'd be surprised if it was rated PG-13. I think this could be PG. I don't know. I think maybe the ratings board just looked at it and were like, directed by Rob Zombie. PG-13? I don't think we can give this PG. It's just the same thing that the other directors have done before. He didn't really do anything different. He just did his own thing for his own property that he respected. I'm not entirely sure it worked. I'd love to see what Rob Zombie could do with an actual cast. I know he loves his wife, and that's great. I think that's amazing, but the Addams Family movie worked because they got Raul Julia and Angelica Houston. Like, for the early 90s, that was amazing. Those two people, I think, had both already been nominated for Academy Awards at that point in time. And then, like, throwing into the supporting cast, they got Christopher Lloyd. Like, this was, for that time period, those were top tier talent for the film, you've recruited here just kind of a bunch of random actors who are willing to work with you. And I think maybe the Munsters would have been better if he had been able to actually cast a wider net and work with people he's never worked with before. Maybe it would have worked better then. But the acting here isn't very good. There really isn't anything here that's special or exciting or anything to jump up and down about. But I understand what he was trying to do. I get it. And in many ways he succeeded, because it's campy and it kind of feels like the TV show. I remember watching some of the Munsters when it was on Nick at Night back in the day. So it's not as bad as some people would say. It's not great. Do with it as you see fit. If you feel like that this is an oddity and you want to check out the Munsters, fine. As far as the audio description goes, okay. It was interesting. I wanted more from the audio description just simply because of how I had heard this film was shot, and some of the comments that I'd heard about what the film looked like, and I kind of feel like the audio description just didn't kind of approach the film in a way where it was just going to tell me what things were, and where people were walking, and the names of characters to help, and it was kind of basic. It wasn't bad. It just, I kind of just wanted more from this one because of all the setup and the style. You know, Rob Zombie is a very visual director. You know, without having seen his films, I know that he's going for a certain style and a certain look. I kind of always just hate whenever we can't figure out a way how to kind of get any of that in the audio description, you know? Talk more about the scenery and the set and the makeup or anything like that. But we get, you know, he's a zombie and vampire, and it just kind of moves through. So it was fine. I have no idea who did this. For some reason, I watched the whole damn credits, and Netflix never had who this was by. It sounds like a narrator I've never heard before, and so there was something about it too that felt like it was from a company I was unfamiliar with. So I was actually really excited to see the possibility of who this was, but I got nothing. So that's it. That's the Munsters. Where am I going to put this? Sorry, Rob. At the end of the day, campy films don't get high grades. And every film that's a comp to this, I wouldn't say is a good film. But I honestly don't think you care. And I think that's actually what you were trying to do. So I don't know why the internet is so damn mad at you for it. And I think someday this could turn around. I would not be surprised if this Rocky horrored its way 10 years from now, or Repo the Genetic Opera or whatever, and people were revisiting this. Once they get some space, I think this... That's the crazy as it sounds. I think this could be a camp classic. Yeah. And not because it's just so bad it's good, but because that's what actually he was trying to do. But yeah, campy films just usually, they're not the kind of films that get A's. They don't get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. They just don't. So I'm gonna give the Munsters a D+. Yes, I've seen far worse films this year. It is not in the absolute worst of the worst. And I thought it might be. I was ready to give in with everybody else and just be like, yep, this made Marmaduke look good. It really No, I didn't like hate myself entirely. I just didn't really enjoy it. So, and I can't really recommend it unless you just want to see it as an oddity. You're a big Rob Zombie fan. I think this is safe to watch with the kids. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. So make your own good life choices. Thanks for watching the video. If you could subscribe, if this is your first time here, I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. I think it's doable, so that's why I'm bringing it up. You can go to my website, macthemovieguy.com, for more reviews. You can go to the audio description project. That's adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. The adna.org will let you know who's narrating what, except maybe this film, because it literally just dropped. So I don't know that we've necessarily uploaded that over there. But in the meantime, I'm going to go review something else, and I will see you on the other side.